Welcome to the video where I continue to talk about all my completed pictures, to review all my coloring book collection, and today we will talk about books based on fairy tales, and also I added books with mythical creatures like elves, like mermaids. So let's start from Crystal Vogel. I have actually 3 books, but the third I decided to include into part where I will show you books with botanical colorings. Here the first, it's my must-have book for the Christmas season, actually for the whole winter season, because we have a nice story about elves, family of elves, and what they do during winter season. Here I really love to use all my pencils from Polychromos Prismacolors to less professional like Arteza or Artix. Paper is good, but pictures are very detailed, so when I start to color something, I am well prepared to very long coloring. And I always love humor of Crystal Vogel. Look at this one. I think that it's quite a unique subject for coloring books. So, of course, apart from pencils, I use a lot of white paint, usually white gouache, my preferred media for snow in this book. I think that this one I did using Polychromos pencils and a little bit of paint. Here I used Artix, I used I don't remember, but I have all these videos on my channel, probably Prismacolors for the main image. Sometimes I'm slightly confused by details like those ice bubbles, but I think that in the end everything worked quite well. My biggest problem is that I always imagine elves in either green or red color, and sometimes it's difficult to imagine different colors, and in the same time, because we have a lot of children on each of the books, I really try to limit amount of colors, or otherwise it looks very motley and unbalanced. I always appreciate when we have lovely animals on the pictures by Crystal Vogel. Her mice, her rabbits, they are absolutely adorable. But here my favorite definitely is this snowman. Probably he's the only one who doesn't enjoy the music. Also in this book I tried to use different hues of blue for the sky. I decided that it's just slightly boring to use the same colors, so sometimes I even used such turquoise or greenish colors. I think that it actually looks quite nice. It still creates winter atmosphere, but at least it's something different and it doesn't distract attention from the heroes. That's one of my favorite pictures, and my second favorite is this one. Perfect Christmas atmosphere. I really love this Christmas tree in the center, very nicely depicted by Crystal Vogel. Definitely can recommend this book. Maybe pictures are extremely detailed, but they help to create Christmas spirit. And again, paper is really good. You will be able to use watercolors like I did here for the background, or even budget pencils, so you don't need to suffer like I sometimes suffer in other books with cheap paper. So many lovely pictures, nice quality, so very good book. I hope that this year I will add something to this book also. And next we have mermaids. Here I have lesser amount of pictures, but here I also experiment with different media. I especially love to use watercolor and Inktense. For me they are the best media to create water backgrounds in various colors. Here I think that I used Inktense and then Polychromos for girls. This one I did with pencils and a little bit of gouache paints because I wanted to mask some of the black lines. I remember that it was probably Arctic, so even budget pencils, they blend relatively well on this paper. And the rest it's Prismacolors, my favorite combo of dark grays together with slate gray when you need to color some marine creatures like dolphins or these flying fishes. And the final one, I think, yes, that final, sadly. It's page which I did for my birthday this year. Lovely, happy family celebration in Dolphins family. But I also love those turtles, especially their faces in heads. Very nice. Here I used watercolors. When I did it, I thought that maybe it's very intense color. Maybe I had to select something lighter, like color in this area. But now I think that it added actually some dynamics, that water has lighter and darker areas. And despite those intense colors, I hope the dolphins, they are still not lost. So very lovely. I remember that it was quite easy and very pleasurable coloring. Books by Crystal Vogel I can recommend to everyone. Both quality of art and quality of paper, very good. Next I have Marty Noble, her Fairytales. I had this book for several years before I started to color here, and now I have 3 pictures. I think that best progress I had in the beginning of this year. So what I have Aladdin. Definitely it's some cheap Chinese pencils, either Sucolor or Tisa. I don't remember, and it doesn't matter because again this paper works well with all Chinese pencils. The only problem which I had here, it's when I added white on top of violet. All white media, from white paint to white Posca, everything turned from white into pink. So pigment was totally contaminated, nothing helped. So maybe now, when everything is dried for more than a year, maybe I will try to save it to mask this area. Or maybe I just won't look here, I will look at the chin. So apart from this fail with white paint, everything else is okay. I didn't put a lot of effort into this one. I just wanted to play with some other set of pencils, to do something even in childish style. So for this work, it was for this purpose, it was perfect book. Well, next, where is my Red Riding Hood? I should. Oh no, I have also this one. Okay, this one was the first page which I colored here like maybe 5 years ago, and it was when I received Sucolor pencils, and with this picture I fall in love with the colors. You know that they are cheap Chinese pencils, but I always praise them because they work well on many papers. Of course there is problem with pigment, you can again see it. Somehow white paint which I used on the dark gray, it's also turned into pink. I don't know, so some chemical reaction from the pencil, but apart from it, they are vibrant, they blend well. I think that gradient on this background looks quite well. And yes, I did it with Chinese pencils, so from time to time I love to use them simply to switch off my mind from the same pencils which I use constantly, Prismacolors, polychromoses. So I even don't mind these problems with pigment. Well, I don't understand where is the page with a Red Riding Hood. Sorry, it was a moment of stupidness, I found it. So, another one. For this page I used Prismacolors. If you look more attentively, you can definitely recognize mahogany red, black raspberry, and black grape, those colors and clay rose colors are quite unique, so it's easy to say what I used here. Well, again, not bad, lovely page, and I don't mind to do such simple pictures from time to time. Now when I look at this book, maybe some of the pictures, they look, well, maybe they have too many lines, like those folds on the fabric, which I prefer to mask, but still good balance between amount of details, size of the picture. I simply love Marty Noble. In the final one, which I did previous winter season, I think, here I started to use markers, but only for the background, for quicker coloring. I think that everything else, it was exactly like I wanted it. I tried to use those warm colors mostly on the girl to attract attention to them, to her face, to her hands. Lovely, vibrant elements on the foreground. I think that it's a good contrast between those more muted colors and vibrant flowers here. And the most complicated part for me was to color the grandma, how to show that she's a poor woman, but not to color her completely in black or brown. Brown I already used here. Green I already used here, so all the other dark options were those blues and purples. I think that it worked actually well. I don't know, from time to time I definitely will be coloring in this book. Not my favorite, but a lovely one. Now I think that I will make a quick flip through for this one. It's a book which I completed more than 1 hour, 1 year ago. I think that in 2023 probably. So, apart from this title page, which I ruined when I tried to apply distress inks with stencil, I moved stencil, so everything was very messy, and why I covered it with black? Maybe dark green would be a better choice, or dark brown, I don't know. So this tragic page, it's a big question. And here is the rest of these pictures, which I colored with mix of pencils to work on this very thin, very bad paper. But pictures are lovely. I have very mixed feelings towards this book, but sometimes it's actually nice to look at this finished book, so you can achieve the whole completed book. For me, it's really a big moment. I did several pictures with budget pencils on. Also, I think that's two colors again. There are picture which I did also with Derwent color softs. You know that color softs, they are very demanding to the paper quality. Of course, Prismacolors and polychromes on this page, they work better on this paper, but it's also fun to use something different from time to time. This one I did using Derwent drawings and Derwent color softs. And I did it without markers. I think that when I had it, when I started it, I only had limited amount of markers. I didn't had my Arteza, so I had a small set of Copics and half of them were dry. So I use them in very limited amount. This one I did with Arctics. I can recognize those green Arctics, Arteza colors. This one it's polychromes. And this one I even did with Neo colors, and then with again with Arteza. Yeah, Arteza colors. They have some interesting red airs. I can recognize it here. And then Prismacolors for the upper part. And again, the same problem. White is slightly contaminated and turned from white into pink. Well, so I have completed book. And we are moving to the Japanese books by Tomoka Tashira, which are still very difficult for me because of the paper and mostly because of the amount of details. So if you look at any pictures, you can see that you need to make a decision either to cover those tiny ornaments, tiny details, or you need something apart from pencils, very nicely sharpened pencils, but also liners or pens. Otherwise it's impossible to color it. So I hadn't touched this book for several years, but I still want to remind myself and maybe to remind you what this book's about, how they are looking. So now we are in the area of slightly abandoned books. I can say that I don't want to color them. I simply have too many books. So when I want to color, of course I go to the more convenient books, but there are many lovely pictures here. I definitely don't like such patterns, even if jewelry I love to color, but this border is killing me. But such pictures, they are really very lovely. This spread I really love, even if I struggled here. I hoped to do background with watercolors, then I didn't know how to do this border, and that's where I finally started to use water-based markers. I even have this marker here on my table accidentally, so at least it helped me to color around these things, and then golden pen to finish the ornament. My favorite part here is this witch. If you look closer, it has very interesting color of skin. It's between jade green and beige sienna from Prismacolor sets, so it was an interesting experiment. And yeah, that's where I discovered that a watercolor bleed through. It's not very important because again there are lovely pictures, and usually on the back we have very simple pictures which are not inspiring. So maybe in the future I really need to combine watercolors and pencils if I want to have at least some progress in these books. But for now they are simply laying on my shelf. I did this huge nutcracker spread using Derwent color softs. If you are familiar with color softs and how they blend on smooth paper, you can imagine the amount of work for blending here. I don't know why I decided, maybe because I love red color softs and I wanted to spend something apart from Prismacolors with such size of the picture, but surprisingly in the end it looks lovely if you don't look very close at the quality of blending. And yeah, there is this waxy shine which quite often appears when you use wax pencils on smooth paper. And that's another one where I suffered so much for the background. I wasn't able to achieve nice gradient with pencils from deep blue into black. I covered it with gouache. It wasn't well. I covered it with ink. Oh well, I don't want to remember. And that's why the second part remained unfinished, even if I planned to do the same frame, perfect for autumn season. But well, definitely maybe one fall season I will have enough courage to finish it. because picture isn't the most complicated, but the struggle with the background, it totally ruined for me all the pleasure. Well, and if we started to talk about books which I own already for a long time, from which my collection actually started, but which I don't color currently, let's have a look at the mysterious library. For a long time, it was one of my favorite books. It was one of the first which I purchased when I discovered Book Depository. I hope that there are people who still remember how lovely it was to have Book Depository. And here I started to color when I had very limited amount of art supplies. So I had to use everything from Faber-Castell student grade pencils, soft pastel, a lot of Derwent color softs, but I was blessed that actually this paper is good for color softs, and if one day I will continue to color in this book, color softs definitely will be my choice number one. Despite this, I have a lot of very fond memories, lovely theme of the book, this library, and lovely pictures. I do love the style of the artist, even if sometimes some of her trees, for example, they look slightly, well, I thought creepy, but now I think that it's simply artist style. I really try to create some interesting effects. I hope that you could notice here that there are darker colors on the background and then several circles like bokeh effect where we have more highlighted, more vibrant areas. So I really had a lot of fun with this one. I remember that for the spread I used every pencil which I owned at that time. But it looks lovely. I especially love the rabbit. Yeah, there are pictures which still confuse me, not because I dislike them, I simply don't know how to color the artist style to support it and to make it beautiful, especially with the wolf, with such fur. You can see that I actually started a couple of pictures. This one I did when I first received pastel colors of paints. Well, I can't say that. I think that after those trees which I wanted to turn into chocolate pine trees, something switched and my inspiration was gone and I decided to abandon it. Another thing is another huge spread. This one I also started to do with watercolors. I didn't like at all how colors blended. Actually, they didn't blend at all. So awful borders here. Paper absorbed that watercolor very quickly. Or maybe I didn't have enough skills at the moment. It was like maybe 6 years ago. So long time story. And at that moment I expected neo-color crayons. I hope that I can cover this background with more opaque neo-colors and to save it. Yeah, 6 years and still waiting. But apart from that sad story, if I start, it will be one of these pictures. Even if those spreads, they are not very comfortable to color. Big part of the picture is going inside. I think that now it's almost impossible to get this book, and it's actually sad. It could be a lovely book for beginners and for more advanced colorists. I need to check, but I think that it's already totally out of print, out of stock. For me, it actually gave a lot of nice memories and a lot of nice experience. For example, this one I did mostly with watercolors, one of the first attempts to do water reflections, all the greenery. But more proud here I am of this white swan. You know how difficult it is to color white fur or white feathers. Here I think that I managed to do it quite nice. And of course here I already had Prismacolors, so they helped me, of course. It's another one. It was extremely popular like 6 years ago. This one and the lady here. I think that everyone colored them, and I had colored them with my eyes. Maybe I also want to do this one. Well, so many lovely books, not much time, but about this book again I have very fond memories. I was quite adventurous girl. I wasn't afraid to do those watercolor backgrounds, even if it looked messy. Okay, I added some sparkles with metallic acrylic paints. Everything I owned, I put on those pages. Sometimes it looked like a mess, but sometimes it actually looked quite fun. It's another one, very good for winter season. Maybe I wouldn't color it as a spread. This one is totally boring, but the left side is very lovely. I need to remember I can actually color it in January or February when I'm always in need of winter pictures, but without Christmas attributes. So that can be a good choice. And surprisingly, one of my favorite spreads here, it's one which I did completely with pencils and where Prismacolors worked very well together with polychromoses, together with Colorsofts, sorry guys, with Colorsofts. So definitely Colorsofts are very good choice to use in this book. And another one where I combined watercolors, good practice for the leaves, and it was the page where I discovered existence of ginkgo tree. Yes, I was so naive and stupid, so that thanks to this page I only discovered the ginkgo tree. They are not available in my area, even in botanical gardens, so thanks to this one I discovered the existence of such beautiful tree. And the last book, it will be French fairy tales. When I saw this cover, I immediately fall in love. I realized that I even hadn't looked very carefully at the flip through. I purchased it. It's from Hachette, so quality is good. But when I got it, I was slightly intimidated again by all those tiny details. Not as frightening as the Tomoka Tashira, but still many detailed pictures. And those collages, they are actually lovely. In Tomoka Tashira, I don't want to color such style of pictures here. I think that they can be a very good practice, especially because Sam, it's totally for me. All those tableware, all this cutlery, so to color metal, to color glass, it's a very good practice. I love to do it, but again, don't have time. I wanted to do summer pictures, didn't have enough time, but finally, thanks to our color along where we colored everything about science and libraries, I did this one. I started to use polychromoses, and I can say that I was completely happy, surprised, because I thought that polychromoses are always the best choice. But for me, the best choice was to combine Prismacolors and polychromoses. Sometimes Prismacolors gave me the necessary intensity of colors, sometimes polychromoses worked better on the smaller details. So next time, if I gather enough courage to do another such detailed and big page, I definitely will use both brands together. Sadly, I hadn't tested watercolors here, so maybe I need to do it for some of the pictures. I don't know if it could help me, but maybe for some pictures with empty background, I can try to use either watercolors or gouache. For now, I'm just proud that I did my first page. Usually it's very important for me how I start the book. If the first page, if it's a success, it really gives me a nice push of inspiration. If I ruin my first page in the book, there is a big chance that the book will go for the shelf for another maybe year until I will give it a second try. So I hope that this video was full of interesting pictures. For me it was quite nice to look back at my old books. I promise them that maybe one day they will have another chance and I will do more pictures than them. Thank you for watching, and until the next series.